Alrighty, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So, welcome to our Q&A.
Hello, everyone. I'm Avi. I'm the second half of bell.avi.
And I'm Erin, and I'm the other half. And today we're going to be answering some questions. So, our first question is, who comes up with the lyrics and who writes the chords to the songs?
Apart from two halves of two of the songs, the other, say, I don't know how many ever halves there are left, but the rest of it was written by Erin. You've always been the songwriter. You take definitely the charge on that.
And I feel like we have a really interesting writing process, because I feel like when we first started talking about making music, you were like, oh, I can come up with really cool chords and I write these melodies, but I don't know where to go with lyrics. And I was like, I have a billion lyrics in my head written down. I have notebooks full, I have whole Google Docs full, and I struggle with coming up with melodies and chords and stuff. So it's kind of like a little match made in heaven.
The way that we go from idea to song is it only really makes sense to us. Initially, it starts with, I come up with a chord progression that just kind of sounds good, and then that gets sent to you. And then you come up with sort of lyrics that sort of encapsulate sort of the feel that I'm coming up with. And then you send it back to me. If you haven't already come up with a melody, I sort of help you melodize. And then I create a track for it. Then we come together, we record it. Then I edit it, send it to you. You send it back. I do more revisions, send it back. And there's a whole 12-step process. It's very convoluted.
I feel like we're just on so much of the same wavelength, where you can send me a track and I'm like, oh, I know the vibe for this. And then we both kind of get what kind of vibe or story we're trying to tell with it. The second question is, how did you meet? We met in high school, freshman year.
Yeah.
We went to the same little bitty school. I don't know what class we met, and I don't know how I met you. I just, one day I was like, oh, I'm friends with this kid, and it just went on from there.
Actually, the funny story is I'm pretty sure I met you, we kind of met each other and knew each other before we ever knew that the other one was interested in music. Mm-hmm. That was not the way we met. Our graduating class is 82 students, so there's not really that many people. So everyone knows everyone. And so somehow in one of the freshman classes that we had, we sort of knew each other and we started talking to each other. And that's pretty much it. It wasn't until well into, honestly, I think into sophomore year, it was only when we sort of started realizing, the other one kind of knows music. And we didn't really start collaborating on music until halfway through sophomore year. So yeah, it's an interesting origin story, I guess.
Some of my first core memories with you were in the choir room when we would just jam out on the piano during lunch. We didn't feel like going to the cafeteria, but we would just hang out in the choir room and just play songs. It was so nice. I loved that.
We hated the cafeteria because it was loud and crazy and obnoxious. So we all kind of went to the music room, where there was always a piano, and we would just kind of sit there, attempt to eat our lunch, but mostly sort of just kind of sing and jam.
Our next question is, what song are you most excited to release?
All the songs are near and dear to our hearts, obviously, because we created them. But I will say, in terms of the song that I think that most people are going to be really excited to listen to is Paranoia. And sort of it's got this cafe style, upbeat sort of groove to it. I think that's the one that's going to be the most exciting to see how well it does among the public. But personally, my favorite one is Bittersweet, which is track number 5. And that one's my favorite simply because I think that's probably the prettiest chord progression, in my opinion. The one of the ones that I've created, my favorite is Bittersweet's progression. It's got this very sort of haunting beauty to it, which I'm really excited to kind of show people.
Okay, I totally agree with Paranoia, because that was going to be my answer, because the song is so fun, and I have videos of myself listening to even some of the earlier versions and just being hey, ooh, dancing to it, because it's so much fun. I also kind of have a twofold answer, because I think Paranoia is going to be super fun for people to listen to and just vibe to, kind of like Rooftop in that way. Mm-hmm. Remembering You is one I'm also really excited about, just because it's it was very meaningful for me to write. It's another thing that we connected over talking about the lyrics and everything like that. And I think it's another song that people will relate to, but in a different way, because it's a little darker, a little sadder, but more like reminiscent. And yeah, I'm really excited for people to listen to that. This one is, what is your favorite song right now? Like not off our EP, just like favorite song in general. My like intuitive answer, that's just like my always favorite song, is Hard Place by Her. I always come back to that song. Okay, my current answer is Bite My Tongue by Allie Evanson, who's like, I think she's from like the Detroit area too. I saw her open for someone in concert, and then I became obsessed with her music, and Bite My Tongue is my favorite one of her songs.
I don't know if I can pick one song, but I can kind of pick two, and they're both Jacob Collier songs off of his latest album, Jesse Volume 3, which is All I Need, which is the song with Mahalia and Ty Dolla $ign, and then Time Alone with You with Daniel Caesar. Both excellent songs, both very wildly different too.
Our next question is, how long has bell.avi existed?
If we want to say like anniversary of bell.avi, I guess it's May of 2021. We were at a different coffee shop in May, and I had just nonchalantly floated the idea of like, we're home for the summer. You want to create a project, maybe? Mm-hmm. And it picked up like really quickly. It went from idea to production pretty damn quickly, and I was like really, really impressed by that.
But I remember we got coffee, and then we were sitting in your car, and you're like, I had this like track thing, was like a very, very early stage of Rooftop, and you played it for me, and I was like, oh my God. And then I was driving home, and I literally like was like voice recording myself like on the way home, and I was like, I'm gonna fire safe Rooftop, blah blah. Like I was like singing it into my phone, because I was like, it was all just like coming in my brain, because I was listening to the recording, like, and I was like, oh my god, that was like my first like, oh my gosh, we're doing something, like this is actually something that we're making, this is so cool. So that's like my first like, okay, bell.avi is like a thing, like, yeah.
And I remember, even going back to high school, you and I had always talked about like, could we create something that's our own? We'd always spent high school, doing covers of other songs, performing other songs in concert and whatnot. But this was unique, right? This was different. This was something that we hadn't ventured with yet.
And I feel like it's rare to find someone that you're like, I could work well with this person, and I could be like creative with this person. And I think we're just like, we had to do it. We had to seize the opportunity.
So the name came in late. We created and recorded all of the songs that are on this project before the name bell.avi was chosen. We are two people that apparently we can create songs in like 4 days, but it takes us 3 months to come up with an artist name.
Yeah. So the next question is, what is your biggest inspiration? So this is a great question, because like musically, I have a lot of different kind of styles that I pull from. If I'm writing music just like for myself that will never see the light of day, it's very like Lorde, Maggie Rogers, like kind of indie pop. I don't even know what kind of genre you call it, but it's very like acoustic. So I look toward a lot of those kind of people, lyrically and like melodically.
So yes, obviously Daniel Caesar, her, SZA, and then sort of moving away from that, Jacob Collier, of course, especially when it comes to harmonic and melodic sort of ideas and concepts that I've learned. Jacob Collier's there. And then even diving further to artists like Saba, Anderson .Paak, those kind of artists, Miguel as well, as those are my sort of inspirations that I can kind of draw from.
Well, we kind of answered this already, but what song from your EP best represents you?
I'm actually going to say that the song that best represents me is probably the song that I'm most excited to release myself, is Bittersweet, because the way that I sort of approached creating that song is sort of the way that I kind of represented the way that I approach music.
The song I think that represents me is Paranoia. And it's just because I just felt those lyrics were really like, they were just very real to me. Because when I wrote the song, it was just kind of about how when you're like starting to like fall for someone, or you're getting into a relationship and you're already thinking about like, oh, I don't want to screw this up, or like, oh my gosh, like what if this ends? Which is very much like how I think it's my like horrible like self-destructive mentality. So I just I really related to the lyrics as I was writing them, and I think that's one of the songs that's the most like grounded in reality. Because like when I was writing it, I was feeling it, and I was like, yeah, and this is just something I went through. It's something I've gone through a billion times, and just been like, it's. I think it'll continue to be relatable to me. So, yeah, that's my answer.
All right, our final question for the day is, how do you start a song or project?
I would say the best way to start a project is just sit down and just start writing. Getting the words on a paper or typing them into your notes app is just the best thing you can do. Just anything you think, like write down what you're feeling or write down the vibe you want to convey. Just like a bunch of words. You could literally like word vomit onto a paper, and then you can organize that later on. Whatever ideas you have, get them out there, get them in your phone, record them, write them down, and then go from there and kind of pare them down, organize them, and things will come together.
Thank you to everyone who asked us a question. You guys asked us some really good ones. We thank you for asking questions. Ask us more. We will post more polls. Ask us more. We'll do this again. And let us know what other content you guys would like us to create.
So definitely follow us on everything to stay updated.
And give us any ideas for future content. Let us know, and we'll have more coming. So stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.